The average car price is nearly $50,000, a 30% increase over the past 5 years.
Basic automobile is $50,000 or more.
Monthly payments are also close to an all-time high.
The average price of a car in America has hit nearly $50,000, a jaw-dropping 30% in just 5 years. Basic models now cost what luxury cars used to, and even monthly payments are breaking records. Meanwhile, affordable options have vanished, leaving buyers drowning in loans for cars worth less than they owe. How did we get here, and can we ever afford to drive again?
About 20 to 25% goes to marketing and everything else. That leaves a 5 to 10% profit.
Third factor, the coronavirus pandemic. Production shutdowns, supply chain shortages, and other constraints tightened supply. Dealers raised prices, then automakers did.
There was a time not so long ago when you could walk into a dealership and find a decent car for under $20,000. In fact, back in 2018, these affordable options made up about 20% of the market. It was an era where owning a reliable, no-frills vehicle didn't feel like a luxury. Fast forward to today, and that picture has dramatically changed. The idea of a sub-$20,000 car has all but vanished. In September 2024, no car in the US market averaged a sticker price below $20,000, and only 6 models hovered under the $25,000 mark. This has left many Americans wondering if affordability is even a priority anymore for automakers. The shift isn't just about inflation or rising production costs. Instead, it's tied to broader changes in the auto industry and consumer preferences. Automakers have largely abandoned the market for basic, affordable vehicles, focusing instead on higher-priced, featured-packed models that promise larger profit margins. This shift has driven average car prices to nearly $50,000, a figure that's hard to fathom for anyone shopping with memories of what cars used to cost just a few years ago. At the same time, there's been a significant rise in sales of cars priced above $60,000. These vehicles, often loaded with luxury features, advanced technology, and top-tier performance, cater to a wealthier customer base. But for middle-class families or first-time buyers, the options are slim. What once felt like a reasonable splurge on a reliable car now feels like a financial stretch that's out of reach for millions of Americans. Americans have a love affair with big cars, and SUVs are the clear object of their affection. Over the past decade, SUVs have gone from being a niche segment to dominating the auto market. Back in 2009, SUVs made up about 30% of all vehicle sales. By 2019, that number had surged over to 50%. These days, it's hard to drive down any road in America without seeing a lineup of SUVs in every size, color, and price range. But this trend has come at a cost, literally. SUVs are more expensive to build, and automakers have seized on their popularity to command higher prices. Take Ford, for example. When they launched the subcompact EcoSport SUV, the average price was about $4,500 higher than that of the Fiesta sedan, even though both vehicles were built on the same platform. This pricing strategy isn't unique to Ford, it's a playbook that many automakers have adopted. The result? Bigger profits for car companies and higher price tags for consumers. It's not just the vehicles themselves that cost more. SUVs often come with a long list of additional features, premium interiors, advanced safety systems, and cutting-edge technology that further drive up the price. Consumers, eager to have all the bells and whistles, are willing to pay for these extras, even if it means stretching their budgets. This shift in preferences have created a feedback loop. Automakers focus on SUVs because they're profitable, and consumers buy SUVs because that's what's being offered. The auto industry has always been about numbers. How many cars are built, how many are sold, and how much money they generate. But in recent years, these numbers have taken a new meaning.
When Ford released the now discontinued subcompact EcoSport SUV, it said the average price would be $4,500 higher than Ford would get from the Fiesta, even though the SUV and the car shared the same platform.
Automakers are no longer chasing high sales volumes. Instead, they're focusing on profitability, even if it means selling fewer vehicles. It's a strategy that's paying off for companies like General Motors and Ford, which have reported record profits in recent years. But this shift in priorities is also a big reason why cars have become so expensive. In the past, automakers balanced high volume production with lower profit margins. The idea was to get as many vehicles on the road as possible, creating a broad customer base and ensuring long-term brand loyalty. But today's approach is different. Companies are prioritizing high-margin vehicles, think luxury SUVs, electric cars, and trucks, over the affordable sedans and compacts that used to dominate the market. It's a decision driven by the bottom line, and it's reshaping the industry. One of the key factors behind this change is the pressure from investors, particularly activist investors who demand short-term gains. CEOs like GM's Mary Barra are under constant scrutiny to deliver quarterly results that satisfy shareholders. This often means focusing on strategies that boost profits, even if it comes at the expense of producing cheaper vehicles. Automakers are also grappling with the massive cost of transitioning to electric vehicles and other advanced technologies. To fund these investments, they need to maintain high profitability in their traditional internal combustion engine businesses. The auto industry is undergoing one of the biggest transformations in its history, driven by the shift towards electric vehicles and advanced technology. While this change is exciting, it's also incredibly expensive. Developing EVs, autonomous driving systems, and software-developed vehicles require billions of dollars in research, development, and production infrastructure. This is a challenge for automakers who are already operating in a high-cost, low-margin business. Electric vehicles are particularly demanding on automakers' budgets. Building an EV isn't just about swapping out a gas engine for a battery. It involves redesigning entire vehicle platforms, developing cutting-edge batteries, and creating new manufacturing processes. Add in the need for advanced safety systems, autonomous driving features, and over-the-air software updates, and the cost skyrockets. These are not optional investments. As regulations around the world push for greener transportation and as consumers demand smarter, more sustainable cars, automakers have no choice but to innovate. However, these innovations don't come cheap. The challenge is that EVs and next-gen cars aren't immediately profitable. In fact, many automakers lose money on their early EV models. To make up for these losses, they rely on high-margin internal combustion vehicles. Think large trucks, SUVs, and luxury cars. These traditional vehicles generate the profits automakers need to fund their EV transition. Without this balancing act, companies wouldn't have the cash flow to invest in the future. It's a precarious strategy, as automakers have to keep their traditional vehicles profitable while also convincing customers to adopt their newer, greener models. On top of all of this, there's a risk of financial missteps. Not every investment pays off, and the competition is fierce. Companies are betting big on EVs and technologies like autonomous driving, but there's no guarantee these bets will succeed in the short term. Tesla has shown what's possible, but legacy automakers face the added burden of transforming their existing operations while keeping shareholders happy.
The Chevrolet Equinox, GM's least expensive EV, is about $300,000 less than the Cadillac Celestiq, GM's priciest, but they use the same platform. New manufacturing methods can help too.
The result of all this spending is a steep rise in vehicle prices. Automakers pass some of these costs on to customers, contributing to the high price tags we're seeing today. While these investments are essential for the future of transportation, they create immediate challenges for buyers. The dreams of an affordable car feels increasingly distant as automakers focus on making their technological transitions work financially. One of the biggest issues during the pandemic was the shortage of critical components, especially semiconductors. These chips power everything from a car's engine to its infotainment system, and when they become scarce, automakers had to cut production. With fewer cars being built, the supply of new vehicles plummeted. At the same time, demand for cars remained strong. People wanted personal transportation during a time when public transit felt risky, and the mismatch between supply and demand sent prices soaring. Dealerships, seeing limited inventory, marked up the prices of the cars they did have. This wasn't just about making a quick profit, it was about survival. For months, dealerships were operating with a fraction of their normal inventory, and they had to make most of what was available. Automakers noticed this trend and followed suit, raising their own prices to capitalize on the market conditions. Even after supply chains started to recover, these price hikes didn't go away. So, what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below.